Welcome back, guys. I'm in the gym and you can tell we're in Canada because I am freezing. Oh my gosh, it's just no fun right now, but I'm gonna make the best of it. Today we're gonna talk about the question mark kick. I first discovered this kick, maybe even about 20 years ago when I was initially watching K1, when they only had the big heavyweight guys. I don't call it a question mark kick, I call it a Brazilian kick because all the Brazilians were throwing them and landing these kicks during that time period. I understand now why it's called a question mark kick, because it comes up and then flips over. But I've noticed when I see people teaching this technique in other videos, they're not really doing it the way that I think this kick should be done and taught. So we're gonna talk about that today, and you're gonna learn a lot about this kick right now. So I'm gonna use my brother here to help demonstrate the question mark kick because my hips are a little tight. My opponents are a really high level now, and I don't honestly work this kick that much anymore. It's really hard unless you're amazing at it to actually land it. But I'm gonna break down a few of the motions here, and then he's gonna do a nice job of demonstrating it because he can just bust it out no problem. What we're trying to accomplish on a question mark kick, or what I call a Brazilian kick, is we're gonna try and get your opponent to lower his hands. And once he lowers his hands and he goes to catch the front kick, from there you scoop around and you come into the neck. And what I've noticed with a lot of people who teach this technique is they teach a low kick transitioning to a high kick. And my problem with that is when we go down and we throw a low kick, there's no reason for him to drop his hands. If I square off with him and we go to our fighting stance and I throw a low kick and he checks it, let's go check with the shin. All right, so if he checks it like that, and I decide, I'm going to now transition up to the head kick, there's no reason that his face is open, unless I've done such a good job, if he doesn't check, of damaging his leg, that he starts actually reaching down. But you're never going to accomplish that for anybody who knows what they're doing. It's just not a viable technique. The way I like to teach this kick is you get the front kicks going. I'm going to land a front kick on his stomach, maybe I'll land another. When he starts reaching with his hands, from there, I'm going to transition up to the head. Right? Now there's a lot of points here that we have to go over, but that's the essentials of a question mark kick. You come up the middle, and then you transition around, just like a question mark. It doesn't really make sense to go from a low kick to a head kick and call it a question mark kick. So always work the question mark kicks off the front kick. So I'm gonna have Aaron face towards you, square up in the middle of the camera. I'm gonna step off to the side, get out of the shot, let him make it look good. And I'm just gonna explain to you what he's doing as he goes through the motion, because he can actually slow it down quite a bit, but it's still hard to watch this technique and figure out every little element. So I'll let you take the middle here and just go ahead and throw 3 or 4 of them in a row. So you're going to notice as he's doing it that his leg is coming straight up the middle, and as he's faking a front kick. And then what he does is he transitions his hips over to the side. And once he's in that position, now his foot is above his head and he can drop the foot right down onto the neck. And this all stems when he lifts his leg. Everything's square right now. As he transitions, it all comes from that foot pivoting and the whole body turning over. So now he can get that height. If he stays square, he squares back up and he tries to transition his leg over, he's only going to be able to go to a certain height. And that's not just going to work when you want to go up to head level, especially if you want to come over top your opponent's guard. Let's throw a few more there for them. For the question mark kick, you're going to find a lot of people who try this are going to suffer from the hips not being flexible enough, and if they're not flexible enough, you're not going to be able to get that leg up to the appropriate height or do that transition rapidly. So getting those hips stretched out plus getting the groin stretch is going to be key to actually getting close to perfecting this kick. The other motion that you can do if you're capable of it is to lift your leg up to this point, and then when you do your transition, actually catch your shin with your hands and just hang out there. You could have your hand against the wall if you wanted, and just hang out there and understand really what's happening here, and also get a bit of a stretch. I hope you guys had fun seeing my brother in action there. He's fantastic at these kicks. He hasn't competed, it's probably closing in on a decade now, but he still has that hip flexibility. He has the ability to just toss those kicks out and catch people whenever he wants, really. And when he was fighting, I mean, he was 10-0, and he always had success with his kick. And as you guys saw, he's just fantastic at it. I myself don't utilize it that much anymore, or even try it in training, because I've noticed the higher the opponents got skill-wise, the harder and harder it got to land these techniques on them. So I had to sort of prioritize where I wanted to put my training focus, and it's gone away from that. But it's still a fantastic kick, and if you enjoy it or want to learn it, just try it out. Take those little techniques that we showed you, take those little tips and tricks, and implement them, and you will get better and better, and soon you'll be throwing that Brazilian kick, or the question mark kick as everybody else calls it. Thanks for joining again, guys, and I'll see you back here next week.